Ozzie and Harriet, starring the entire Nelson family, Ozzie, Harriet, David, and Ricky. Here is Ozzie, who plays the part of Ozzie Nelson. And, of course, his lovely wife, Harriet, as Harriet Nelson. The older of the Nelson boys, David, appears as David Nelson. And his younger brother, the irrepressible Ricky, played by Ricky Nelson. The Nelsons' next-door neighbor, Thorny, is played by Don DeFore.
Oh, David, who do you think you're kidding?
If you don't believe me, ask Pop.
Okay, I will. Hey, Pop.
Look, fire!
Sorry, I didn't think you were asleep.
Oh, I wasn't asleep exactly. I was just reading the paper. That is, I had the paper stretched across my face. What's the trouble, son?
David says there's some buried treasure around here. Is he kidding me?
Oh, well, I don't know if it's in this neighborhood especially, but there is a legend that there's buried treasure somewhere in this vicinity. Why?
See, wise guy, what did I tell you? Honest, Pop?
Well, I've never seen any of it, but that's the way the story goes. In fact, there was an article about it in the paper just a couple of days ago.
Come on, David, I bet you we're rich.
Wait a minute. What's this all about?
I'll bet the buried treasure's right out in our backyard. See what I found when I was digging for worms?
Oh, yeah. Looks like one of those old pennies they used to have years ago.
Looks like gold to me.
Oh, no, Dave. Look, I'll show you with this pencil. If this were gold, it would ring like a little bell when I tapped it. It would, listen to this. See, when I tap this, it just... My golly, this is gold. This looks like one of those Spanish doubloons they showed. Where'd you say you found this?
Out in the backyard.
What do you want?
Where are you?
Down here.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Deep, isn't it?
Oh, did you dig all that today?
Yeah, how about this? I'm liable to strike oil before I find gold.
But I didn't want you to... I mean, why dig in one spot? Why don't you dig a little bit all over the yard?
Oh, no. That's where we found the coins, right here.
Well, don't you think you better stop now?
Oh, are you kidding? Give up $8 million? $2
million.
No, it was $8 million according to the paper. It was only $2 million. I'd have quit this morning.
But I just wanted to share some things about my recent trip to Santa Fe, New Mexico. And one of the reasons I went there was to look for buried treasure. But I didn't want to tell anybody at first. I thought, well, how would you do that if you did find something? And would you have to turn it in? I don't know. But anyway, that's just one of the reasons I went to Santa Fe to commemorate my birthday. And it was a good trip. It had some bad, well, not bad things, but, you know, good, bad, and the ugly kind of thing, where I was the ugly. And the bad stuff, you know, I guess I learned that it depends on who you're telling your story to as to what you're going to talk about. But I had forgotten so much stuff that I had packed to take with me, like my toiletries and my trail snacks and my phone charger. And then when I got there, I was completely disoriented. I think I must have had, my friend Greg said, oh, you had altitude sickness, probably, because I had a headache all week. I was disoriented. I didn't know which way was up, even though I had my GPS gizmo, and it got me to Santa Fe from Los Angeles, which is about 800 miles, but I just couldn't understand. I thought maybe I wasn't drinking enough water. I drove by the hotel like 2 or 3 times because I couldn't see it even with GPS. But it was, my GPS kept telling me to make a U-turn, make a U-turn. And it's like, but why? Where is it? but it was behind the gas station, behind the tire store, down in a gully, and all you could see was the sign, but you couldn't read it if you drove by it. You had to see it coming face on from north or south, east or west. I don't know. But anyway, so I finally found it, but so I just wanted to share all the different things I learned on my trip looking for buried treasure. One of which was the buried treasure Forrest Fenn has hidden chest of gold coins and antiquities, and apparently it's worth like $1 million or $2 million. And he wrote a book and he put a poem in there with clues, 9 clues. But I did some research online and found some additional clues, and still I didn't find it. But I did. One guy I discovered online, he's been to Santa Fe like 40 times. I can't imagine. That must cost a lot of money. I mean, if you spend $500 a trip, that's $20,000. The only reason I could go to Santa Fe because I still have a lot of hotel points from when I traveled for work. And so I stayed at the hotel virtually for free, but I still had to get there, and I drove 2 days, 800 miles, round trip, 1,600 miles. I actually drove around 2,000 miles total, so that costs like $300 in gas. But, you know, that's okay. I wanted to get outside. I wanted to commemorate my birthday, which I did. I wanted to make it a game, give me an excuse to get out and see more stuff. And so buried treasure, going to look for buried treasure, I thought that'd be fun. And it was, although I realized that it's a big place out there, and the desert from here to there is so vast. And then when you get to New Mexico, it's like, wow, where in the heck would he bury this treasure? I mean, pick a spot, bury it, cover it with rocks. How in the heck are you going to find it? So I thought it'd be a whole heck of a lot easier if it was like right alongside of the road as I'm driving by, and like I still probably wouldn't see it, but I just didn't know what to do. But I documented everything. I researched. A friend Edward said, "Did you document everything?" And I said, "Well, yeah, because, you know, I thought, well, now that I got a lay of the land, I might want to go back again and actually get out of the truck and go hiking." I did do a little hiking, but not for a couple of days into my trip because I was so disoriented and I forgot all my stuff. I just was like afraid to go anywhere. But anyway, I did find some trees toward the end of my trip, and it's beautiful country. Next time I'm going to get up in the mountains more, but it looks pretty much the same as California desert. It's just a higher altitude, and the weather was perfect, so I didn't have to worry about any rain or any snow or anything like that, so that helped. And what else? I tried to be as positive as I could during the whole trip, before the trip, and I wanted to see if, well, certainly that's going to help. It made me open to all kinds of different things, either people I ran into or listened to and heard what they had to say, and I asked for directions, and kept me positive and not, because I couldn't believe how much trouble I was having for such a simple trip as a road trip. And the other thing I want to do next time is to take somebody with me, and they can help with the driving while I do the navigating and the sightseeing and trying to figure out where to go next, that kind of thing. I did find everything I was looking for, though. I made a game of it. I said, well, I wasn't sure if I wanted to tell everybody I was looking for buried treasure, so I pretended that I was also looking. I wanted to find UFOs, Bigfoot, and buried treasure. Those were my 3 goals. And to get outside and commemorate my birthday, which I did. You have to be very specific when you ask the universe for something, because I did find a UFO sticker of a spaceship that somebody had put on the caution sign to watch out for cattle in the area crossing the highway. And Bigfoot, I found there was a Bigfoot sign. There's a Bigfoot road in New Mexico. I actually didn't go up there, but I knew where it was. Cloudfield, maybe, up north. It's called Bigfoot Road. And then the buried treasure I actually found is I took a lottery ticket with me for my birthday and actually won $25. So I did find a little treasure, and took a lot of pictures and had a good time overall. But the altitude sickness, I just didn't know what was going on until I mentioned to a friend. Greg told me when I called in the week, I said, I don't know what's going on. I'm just so disoriented, have a headache. So I decided to drink a lot of water, but when I got back home and we met up to go see a movie, he said, oh, you had altitude sickness, and I think it didn't get any worse. So anyway, and I'll think of some other things here to tell you about my trip, okay? But let's see what this duck's going to do. He thinks I have some treats because I threw some branches in there, but sorry, bud. All right, here we go. I'm sure if this is even recording because it says low light cannot be used on video. So let me just, I just want to show you real quick to a couple of places I went to up Santa Fe here. I'm going to move the camera over here. Oh, is that a better? See, look at that. There's Santa Fe's down this way. And this is Taos up here. And right here at the Orilla Verde Recreation Area, I pulled in there, thought, well, maybe I should do a little hike while I'm passing by, and I saw somebody that looked exactly like my brother Tim from a distance, and I was confused even more because I didn't understand why he was there. So I eventually went up to the guy and introduced myself, and of course it wasn't Tim, but it was a funny thing. He was very nice and told me about the trails and where he was from. So I went to Taos, and then if I go up further north another day, here, real quick before this camera goes off here. So now Taos is down here, and I went across to Eagle Nest Lake, and I was on my way up to Elizabethtown as a ghost town I wanted to see, but I missed. And I went up to Bobcat Pass and Red River, and then I was going to drive down, but I couldn't because the road had so many rocks on it. This is Goose Lake Road, Goose Lake Trail, and that goes down here to Goose Lake, and then Gold Hill right here is 12,000 feet, but there's just trails everywhere. So it could be, that buried treasure could be anywhere. And then I came back this way down, back through Taos, and eventually back down to Santa Fe. But it was a good trip, and I think the thing I want to to tell any kids that are watching, anybody that's watching, because I didn't find any treasure. I just brought back I have a lot of advice I can give you about things I learned about myself, and I'm going to post some of those adages up just to share, because I think it's important to pay attention to how you go in search of some treasure or anything when you go on a trip or you're looking for something, to understand how you work, what works best for you, how you get things done. And with that, I just want to remind everybody to stay positive during the whole adventure, because that, I think, opens the door for lots of different things to happen that might help you on your journey. And don't be afraid to ask for directions, and do your homework before you go, and use your maps. And of course, when you get there, it's a little bit, if not completely different, and you just need to go with the flow. I'm sure a lot of you know that already, but it was a good trip for me because I wanted to get outside more, and I did that. So with that alone, it was a successful trip. Having said all that, just stay positive, and don't forget to recycle something. Keep it clean, keep it green, and we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.